Hey guys, my name is Scoby and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to play Gameboy Advance Games on your Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X. This is going to be a nice quick and easy tutorial. I'm going to be showing you step by step how to do everything. Let's jump right into this. So I will mention before we get too far in today's video, for this video you're already going to need to have both dev mode and Retroarch already installed in your Xbox Series S or your Xbox Series X. I'm not going to be showing you that in today's video, although I do have a previous video on my channel where I show you step by step how to do this. I'll be leaving that linked in the description down below so you can go check that out first, and then you can come back here and I'll be showing you specifically how to set up and play Gameboy games. Now I will also mention this is going to be the most up-to-date version of dev mode and Retroarch as of November 2021, so we'll no longer be using My Files Explorer for this method. We'll be doing this purely from a mapped network drive, so you are going to need to have access to a PC. I'll be doing this specifically on Windows, and we're going to be doing it step by step like that. Now I will mention for this mapped network drive, if you have already watched my most up-to-date video of setting up Retroarch, I did show how to do that there. Although if you didn't set that up previously, I will be showing it step by step. You can feel free to skip this step and just jump over to transferring files over. So the first thing again we need to do is open up our Xbox device portal. This of course can be found on the dashboard of our dev mode. You can find this access portal and we're going to need to open this up in any browser that you want. From this point what we're going to be doing is coming to our left bar right here. We're going to be clicking on File Explorer, and this is going to open up the File Explorer section. Once we're here, we're going to be coming to the top right, and we're going to be clicking on this Browse option right here. This is going to open up a pop-up that's going to allow us to access remotely some files on our Xbox and access the internal storage on our Xbox. So to do this, what we need to do is copy this URL here at the very top. We can highlight it, we can right click, and we can click copy. And we're going to be opening up a File Explorer on our Windows. We're going to be clicking on the URL path right here. We're going to be pasting in the URL that we just got, and we're going to be clicking enter to enter here. Now, if this is your first time doing this, it may ask you for a username and password. All of this information is also stored here, so you can simply copy all of this for your username and password. Now, this can get a little bit annoying as every time you want to get back here, you will need to manually enter this URL, you'll need to manually enter the password, and you'll need to manually enter the username. So instead what we're going to be doing is two things. The first thing we're going to be doing is opening up our command prompt, and we're going to be automatically saving this password and username, so we no longer have to enter it manually again. To do this again, we're going to be opening up our web browser, and we're going to be copying this CMD key here at the bottom. Simply going to highlight it, we're going to right click, and we're going to be clicking copy. From this point, we're going to be opening up CMD in Windows. To do this, we're going to be coming down to the bottom left. We're going to be clicking on our search bar, and we're going to be searching for CMD, and we're going to be looking for the command prompt right here. We're going to left click to open this up, and our command prompt should open. Once this is open, all we need to do is right click here. It will automatically paste everything we have. We simply click enter, and then we should get this result here, credential added successfully. And that basically attaches this username and password to our Windows, so it'll automatically remember it every time. From this point, we have made it a lot easier. However, now from this point, you still need to know this URL every time you want to actually access the remote files. So what we're going to be doing is one extra step. This is optional, but we're going to be setting up a mapped network drive, so it'll actually be saved in our Windows so we can easily get back here whenever we want. What we're going to be doing again is copying this file path. We're going to be opening up another file browser in Windows, and we're going to be clicking on this PC right here. And then here at the very top, we should have this option, Map Network Drive. We can left click to open this, and here we're going to be able to enter a new drive that will automatically store this location. And since we've already saved the username and password in Windows, it means we'll really easily be able to access back here whenever we want. So the first thing you need to do is assign a drive letter, so you can choose whatever you want here. So I've already done this to my Z drive, but you can attach it to another drive, for example Y, or any other available letter here in your Windows. We can then enter our folder location. So here you can just Control V again to paste in the folder location that you've set up previously. You can then enable automatic reconnect and sign in. I'm going to be disabling this, but you can feel free to enable this, and you can connect using different credentials, although we're not going to be doing that in today's video. Once you're happy with everything here, we can click finish, and then you will have a new mapped network drive that will show up here like this. It'll mention development files. It will then show the URL to your Xbox, and now clicking this will open this up very easily, so we no longer have to locate back here manually. From this point, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening up the Windows Apps folder, and here we should see all of the currently installed apps on our Xbox. So at the top here we have My Files Explorer. Underneath this then I have two folders named Platinum Fox, and they have Retroarch mentioned in the title. This is my Retroarch folder, although depending on the version you're using it may be named slightly different, but there will be two folders here. Previously this folder started with 1E4C, although this can depend widely depending on the version you're using and depending on if it's a nightly or not, so I really don't know what to expect here. But you're going to be looking for some folder named Retroarch or something like 1E4C. Once you've located this folder, we're going to be looking for the second one on the list. It'll typically be a much larger folder. As you can see, this is around 1.4 gigabytes and the other one is around 3.5 kilobytes. We're going to be opening up this second folder, and here we should see all of our default installed Retroarch content. What we're going to be doing from this point is creating a new folder here that's going to store our BIOS files, or a brand new system folder, or creating a brand new system BIOS folder so we can access and transfer all the BIOS files we need for our emulators over here, or for today's video specifically the GBA emulator. What we need to do is right click here. We're going to be creating a new folder, and I'm going to be naming it system. And this is going to be our new system or BIOS folder for Retroarch. After this, we're going to be heading over to Retroarch and we're going to be manually mapping this so Retroarch knows to point here instead. While we're here, we can also add a couple of extra folders. We can add a saves folder, we can add a save state folder, we can add a config folder, and we can even add a games folder. Here you can pick and choose all of the different files that you will access regularly from Retroarch, and we can remap them so Retroarch will look here instead of on the internal Xbox storage that we cannot actually access any other way. Doing this method, we will easily be able to access this. We can make backups, we can make copies. So this is definitely a method I'd recommend doing it. But for today's video, the only one that is necessary is creating a system folder, although you can feel free to make any of the other folders here as well that you like, but it is totally optional. From this point, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching Retroarch from here, and we're going to be brought up to our Retroarch UI. From here, we're going to be coming to the left, we're going to be coming to settings, and now we're going to be scrolling down until we see directory. And here we can see the directory for all the different assets inside Retroarch. So the first thing we're going to be looking for is the BIOS and system file, as you can see right here. We're going to be clicking the A button to open this up. Once this opens up, we're going to be scrolling down until we see the S drive. We're going to be clicking the A button. We're going to be scrolling down to program files. We're going to be coming to Windows apps, and then we're going to be looking for our Retroarch folder, the same one that we've seen on our computer. So for me, it's Platinum Fox. I'm going to be looking for the second folder, and here I'm going to be looking for my system folder. I'm going to be clicking use this directory, and now what we've done is we have remapped this directory to our system folder on our mapped network drive. So Retroarch will now search there for our BIOS files instead of the default location. So from this point, you can feel free to update any of the other files you want. I'm going to be doing my config file, my save file, and a couple of the other ones. From this point, once you have everything mapped, we're simply going to be clicking the B button to come back out of here. We're then going to be coming to our main menu, and we're going to be coming to our configuration file, and we're going to be saving our current config, just so all of these extra changes are in Retroarch. So now that we have this here, our system folder, we can feel free to put our BIOS file inside. So what I have right here is my GBA BIOS.bin. I will be mentioning in today's video, I'm not going to be showing you where to download BIOS files for your Game Boy. You can feel free to dump an existing one from a Game Boy you already have, or you can feel free to download it online, whatever the case is, but I will not be sharing any links to this. Now it does need to be named exactly like this as well, GBA_BIOS.bin. What we're going to be doing with this is simply dragging it over to our new network drive inside our system folder that we mapped already with Retroarch, and just like that, our BIOS file is inside here. Now the next thing we're going to be talking about is games, and again, of course, I'm not going to be sharing any download links to games. You can feel free to make a copy of the games you already have. Again, I'm not going to be sharing any game links, you'll have to find your own. And when you download your games, they'll most likely come in a .zip file. You can play these directly inside Retroarch, but I always like to extract my games first. If you want to extract your zip file, you can simply right click, click extract all, and you can choose your extract location. And then I have my game right here, Legend of Zelda Diminished Cap, in a .gba format. And your games extracted do need to be in a .gba format, which is the Gameboy Advance Game format, of course. And just like that, I have my game. Now to actually get the games on your Xbox and play them on Retroarch, there's two ways. One, you can feel free to transfer them to the internal storage in your games folder. The second is using an external drive, and that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video. So you can simply put your games on an external thumbstick or an external hard drive, and we're going to be locating to them in Retroarch a little bit later. From this point, once you have all your BIOS files set up, you have all your game files set up, we're ready to head back over to our Xbox, back into Retroarch, and we're going to start to load up some games for our GBA. So now that we're over on our Xbox, I will mention if you are using an external drive like me, you might get this pop-up on screen when you first connect it to your Xbox. If this is your first time plugging in your drive, you might get this pop-up asking if you'd like to use it for Xbox game storage or media storage. It's really important here that you select media storage so we can add whatever files we want on here. Otherwise, if you select game storage, it will fully wipe your drive and only allow you to install Xbox games on this. So it's important that you make sure this is entered correctly. However, some people have had issue with Retroarch and with the latest version of dev mode. I would make sure your drive is formatted in an exFAT format. I've read this can help with some issues. So inside Windows, all you need to do is right click your drive. You can click format, and during the formatting process, just make sure to select exFAT like you can see on screen. and hopefully doing this should make your drive readable and having no issues inside Retroarch, but this is something to keep in mind. From this point we're then going to be loading our Gameboy Advance Core, come back to our main menu, click load core, and now we're just going to be searching for Nintendo-Game Boy. For today's video I'm going to be using Beetle GBA, but you can feel free to try out GPSP, Meteor, MGBA, VBA Next or VBA M. Most of these will work. If you are having issues with any of these cores, feel free to try around with the other ones to see what one works best for you. Once you have your core loaded, we're going to be coming to load content, and here's where you're going to have to locate to wherever your games are. So if you did transfer them to the internal storage on the Xbox, they will most likely be in your S drive wherever you kept them. However, if you're using an external drive like me, they will show up on your E drive, and here you can just locate your game. And here I have my Legend of Zelda in a .gba format. As mentioned, you can also play this directly from a zip, although I'm just going to be using the GBA. Simply click the A button from this point. Again, if you have multiple cores in Retroarch that can read this file type, it will show up here. However, we can click A on the top core or current core, which is the Beetle GBA. Simply click the A button to open this up. It might take a couple seconds to load, and just like that, your GBA game will load on your Xbox Series S or your Xbox Series X. From this point, you can feel free to use your controller as normal. And just like that, you're playing Gameboy Advance Games on your Xbox Series S or your Xbox Series X. From this point, if you'd like to open up your menu, you can simply click your menu combination right now. For me, it's down and select, and your menu will open up. And here you're brought inside your Retroarch menu. From this point, you can feel free to scroll down until you see the options tab right here. And here you'll see all the different options for the current core that we're running. At the moment, there is not a lot. There's just HLE BIOS emulation. You can turn this on and off. It will require a restart. And you can select your save method. And here you can choose between the two at the moment. And this will also require a restart. I wouldn't really recommend adjusting either of these. I recommend leaving them both by default. Now again, depending on the Gameboy Advance core you're using, you might get different options here. But for the moment, I wouldn't recommend touching a lot of them in this case, but it will vary depending on the core you're using. From this point, you can also feel free to take a look at cheats, shaders, and a couple other things if you want from here. But otherwise, this core is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot going on here. You can feel free to just continue with your game as normal. Anyway guys, it's as easy as that to play Gameboy Advance games on your Xbox Series S and your Xbox Series X. I want to take this moment to give a huge shout out to the channel members, Sean Daly and Joshua Davis. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, I really appreciate it. If you'd like to have your name shout out in future videos or some other perks, be sure to click the join button underneath any video on the channel, it would really help me out. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. Subscribe if you're new, check out the other videos on the channel. If you want to support me, be sure to drop a super thanks in this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, as always, keep it saucy. Peace.